through exploring my voice while at the same time getting deeper into spirituality, specifically a course I took in Kundalini yoga, opened my eyes, and I had a lot more deeper realizations at that point, and then worlds colliding.
So it sounds like you just did shrooms in Joshua Tree once and rethought your whole life. No, I'm kidding.
More like I wish I did this year. I wonder how maybe I'd be like making 6 figures already if I had done shrooms.
Yeah.
Done shrooms 6 months ago.
Could have really brought you to the next level.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Sippin Cosmos. I'm Ashley, your resident spiritual nerd.
I'm Layne, your skeptic.
And I'm Sarah, and I am somewhere in between.
Today's a good day because we have Khaki Martin here as our special guest.
Yeah.
We're so excited.
Very special guy.
Thank you for being here.
Hi, fam. I'm so happy to be here. Sippin Cosmos. Sippin Cosmos every day, but now with friends.
Today especially.
Love it.
Yes.
And you guys match today. I love it. You got the royal blue memo.
We coordinated mentally. We're just on the same level.
Like we're gray, kind of.
Yeah, grayish.
We're on the same energy level.
Exactly. There is kind of a chromatic situation going on here.
It is nice.
Yeah.
I don't hate it.
Nor I.
I also don't hate you. Let's.
And I want that to be known.
Yeah, I know.
Let's just make sure Khaki knows that Ashley doesn't hate her.
Yeah.
I feel loved, held, seen. Thank you.
Good. Okay. So let's get into it. What is your title? Like, what would you describe yourself as? Like, you're kind of on like a spiritual journey. Is that what you would call it? A spiritual journey?
Yeah, I would say a spiritual journey has led me to where I am now. And if I sum it up in one word, well, 2 words, harmonic healer.
Interesting. Okay. Let's break that down.
Absolutely.
So by healing, what do you mean? Like energy healing?
Yeah, it's a combination of a lot of things. It's almost easier to say healer just because it's a word people resonate with. It makes sense to them. But I would say 4 buckets. That would be breathwork, Reiki, which is energy healing, sound healing, and then vocal empowerment, aka my special brand of sound healing, which is essentially singing for joy.
I love that. Because that's what I think of you as. You're a singer. You're a beautiful opera singer, right?
Yes. Well, opera was really my bread and butter as a youth, if you know what I'm saying. But
chorale, concert chorale. That's what it was called at our school.
I remember that.
Concert chorale.
Yeah, like with the chorus.
Why don't I remember that?
I don't know. Maybe you didn't do it. You weren't the nerd like me in concert.
Oh, you weren't a choir girl? Oh.
I was in choral ears.
Oh, that's it then. It's choral ears.
Yeah.
Choral ears.
That's even more like
lame.
Glee. I don't know, like Glee.
Mine was chamber singers equally.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
I think ours was just called chorus.
Ew.
Wow.
No creativity at Layne School.
I have nothing to say to you.
Just very minimal.
So we started with singing. You studied it in school?
Yeah, a bit. Well, I was always kind of a choir girl growing up. And then I went to college in New Orleans with Layne. And while I was there, I still studied music. I studied classical music first. So that was a lot of, German, Middle English, etc., and Italian. And I studied jazz there too. But actually, when I pursued singing jazz music, that's really where I lost my confidence. I had been trained as a classical singer. I never really learned how to use a different part of my voice. And so when I was put in a situation where I was learning a new style, which is all about like freedom and expression and improvisation, I really was like a deer in headlights. And that and going abroad and just timing and peer pressure and trying to fit in, all of these things kind of chipped away at me where I became a people pleaser to a really high degree and really let singing go at that point. And so this past year, I've rediscovered my voice, very literally my singing voice. And that journey, with the blessing of the time of the pandemic, I was able to understand that my purpose on this earth is to be a guide and heal in a lot of ways with the voice. But me discovering my authentic voice is my personal journey, and I know I'm here to pay it forward.
How did you like embark on this journey?
Well, it's a very common tale of I fucking hate my job.
What is the meaning of life?
What's the meaning of life? I hate my job. I was in the entertainment industry while I moved out to LA. I was a coordinator. It was eating away at my soul to do menial work for someone else in an industry I wasn't passionate about. I studied journalism. I was like, journalism isn't fun. I want to do entertainment. And then when I'm still not happy, I was getting sick. My body was getting sick. I was emotionally sick. I just didn't feel like myself. And I really woke up one day and I was like, I'm going to make a change in my life. And that change is going to be, I'm going to follow my heart and listen to my gut. So I got really quiet. I listened to my gut and I'm like weeping or had a bad day at work, something, I was triggered to go there. And I asked myself, what makes me truly, truly happy? I'm fueled by joy. I'm fueled by happiness. What makes me happy? And the answer was singing and making other people happy. And it was simple, and I took it and I ran with it. I left my job. So I've been unemployed for 2020, where I really found myself. And it started out as I will do anything I can so I can sing every day for the rest of my life. And I don't care what that is. I don't care if I don't get really rich. I just want to sing every day. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be an event singer. I'm going to be a wedding singer. So then I
remember that.
Right, that was a phase. Or I'm going to be a opera singer. It was just anything to sing. I just want to sing. And then through music, through the piano, through exploring my voice, while at the same time getting deeper into spirituality, specifically a course I took in Kundalini yoga, opened my eyes, and I had a lot more deeper realizations at that point, and then worlds colliding.
So it sounds like you just did shrooms in Joshua Tree once and rethought your whole life. No, I'm kidding.
More like I wish I did this year. I wonder how maybe I'd be like making 6 figures already if I had done shrooms.
Yeah.
Done shrooms 6
Could have
months
really
ago.
brought you to the next level.
Exactly.
I love that. You talk about like music being a spiritual experience too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm my happiest when I do music. I get lost and I go into the zone.
Yeah.
And I enter another level of spirituality for sure. But for me, sometimes I get trapped when I'm doing music too, and it becomes stressful because I'm trying to make things so perfect that I forget how fun it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm trying to get better at, is just really working on the joyfulness of the music and not getting too worked up about it. 'Cause for me, music is my entire life.
Yeah. And you're not alone in the sense that the script can flip. It becomes something that haunts you sometimes in the quest for perfection. And that's really what's set me free on the path that I'm on now as a harmonic healer. It's, wow, I get to help people sing to express, not to impress. And that's just the most fulfilling thing I've ever done. Singing for the sheer joy of hearing it vibrate in your body, just to make your own noise and bask in your own sound currents, and being able to share that with others in a way that's tangible, that brings communities together. Like, hallelujah.
That kind of sounds like you're on a certain vibrational field, right? Like, I don't know, you're like the vibration of music, and it's like it builds you up into a higher
I think it's
vibration.
just, for Khaki, it sounds like feeling personal joy and just spreading it through her voice. It's like, I don't think it's about achieving a certain level. It's more feeling personally amazing in what you're doing and trying to spread that same feeling to other people through what you're doing.
When you work with your clients, are they singing as well or just you?
They are absolutely singing. In one-on-one sessions, it's definitely all about the client or, the person I'm guiding. And we sing together a lot of the time, but it's really an exploration of the voice. And when I lead group events, which are essentially like all on Zoom right now, everyone's on mute and I'm kind of sing-along leader. I'm off mute, I'm singing, but the goal, the purpose is everyone should be singing in their own safe space just to understand and get that feeling.
And why are they muted? So that they don't hear each other? Or is it like makes them feel more safe?
It makes them feel more safe.
Yeah.
Also, technology on Zoom has not come to a place where you can really have a choir perform at the same
That's
time.
true. That would be really noisy.
So it's that, but it really works out well that way. It's a personal experience. Like I lead these things and my eyes are closed 95% of the time. I peek my eyes open. Everyone who's doing it with me, their eyes are closed. It's a deeply personal journey. And that's what I want to have everyone sing. I want people to, before they go to bed at night, like close their eyes and sing themselves
So during
a
these
song.
sessions, are you freely singing? Or are you singing to a tune? Is there a particular song that you're creating? Or is it just sing whatever your heart desires?
Well, my signature sound healing thing at the moment is these melody meditations, which I compose, and they're incredibly simple. It's simple melody over a simple chord, and you repeat it over and over again to get yourself into a trance-like state. And so I kind of lead these simple melodies, and with the invitation that if you sing along with this, yes, but also be free. You can harmonize if you're an experienced singer. You can listen some parts, come in at other parts. You can scream, you can cry. It's just about expression, but there is this baseline, this drone, if you will, of simple chords, simple melody that's carrying you throughout. And then I incorporate rhythm and humming for all of these, scientific reasons. But yeah, it's good stuff.
Cool.
What
That
are those
is so
scientific
cool.
reasons?
Oh, well,
If you don't mind.
I could go into this for
Mr. Science here would like to know.
Yeah, I'm actually interested.
There's so much. But what you were saying before, actually, it's like, oh, are you singing to like raise people's frequencies? Honestly, kind of, because sound is the most physical, tangible example of energy that we have. Like sound is a physical experience, and it's a
that's
lot more
interesting.
easier. It's a lot easier to comprehend and wrap your head around sound waves before going to like the quantum field and, Reiki healing, for example. Like
Right.
understanding it as sound waves, frequencies
Sound is
measured
tangible.
in hertz.
Sound's
Exactly.
tangible.
Yeah.
Most people can hear it. And
Yeah, like
it's
that
you can certainly feel that.
experiment
could-
with the water.
You can
too.
feel changes in
Exactly.
sound. Yeah, the water experiment's a great point.
I think we talked about that on
With the
another episode,
music?
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
With the heavy metal versus like the
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
melodic music.
The one thing I always think of is like my dog could be, in the back of our house, laying on the floor, not looking out the front window. And there'll be a dog walking past our house. And all of a sudden he gets up and starts barking. He knows that dog is there. And I'm like, what is it in the air? There's some wavelength that he's on.
That he's sensing.
Yeah, that he senses that a dog is there. He can't
Who does?
see my dog.
Dogs have really heightened
Oh
sensitivity.
yeah, dogs can hear
He's
from
not
like
looking out the window, but he knows that a
very
dog is there, and he
large
gets up
distances
and
away.
starts barking. So it's like, what is that vibration or wavelength that like?
They can sense.
they just have
Yeah.
supersonic hearing.
Well, actually, I think in this case, it's probably the nose. You can probably smell the dog coming.
Their senses
think?
senses are
Definitely.
pretty insane, dogs.
Yeah.
So they can sense when things are that they can sense things that we just can't.
But they respond to other frequencies, like those really high pitched
Mhm.
whistles, like
The
that are
animals
for
are also
dogs.
good at like
interesting.
at
We all have different
predicting earthquakes and natural disasters.
Dogs.
They're in
yeah.
tune with the energy and how it's shifting in a way much more than humans can.
You'll see like a
untrained
dog go
humans.
How do they
crazy like
predict
10
that?
minutes before an earthquake.
Can't even
Yeah.
us humans at different ages can't hear certain frequencies. I heard that like if you're over the age of I think it was like 50, you can't hear certain frequencies that younger people can hear.
I believe it.
We'll fact check that, but I'm pretty sure that's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I do know that
There's a tone.
humans are limited in what frequencies we can hear, and it's I believe we humans can comprehend sound from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. So everything between that frequency range we can comprehend at different levels. Low frequency would be like a water drum, and then high frequency.
Yeah.
Or like you're hitting a triangle. Those are high frequencies, and music is just the incredible the play, the variance, the ebb and flow of playing between all of these different frequencies.
And somehow that sounds really good to us.
Sometimes,
Sometimes.
Sometimes there's plenty of shitty music out there.
But also
Not get
good
it
is
twisted.
good is subjective. It's fascinating. It really is. Sound is fascinating.
It is subjective.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned Kundalini yoga. Can you explain like what that is for us? Like what is Kundalini and what makes it different from other forms of yoga, and how did that like inspire you to go into this?
Okay. Well, I found a course on Instagram and I was like, yeah, I want to try this. It was a accountability group, 30 days with meditations every morning that were led as in a live stream. And I was like, I need a meditation practice. Let's go. So Kundalini yoga is a branch of yoga that's the yoga of awareness. And it's much more rooted in breath work and chanting, as opposed to contorting the body in like a vinyasa flow. I am no Kundalini yoga expert. I literally took a couple courses and I really like some of the things. But it's also a little problematic right now because the like father of Kundalini in the U.S. has some sexual assault allegations.
Oh,
I think I heard about that.
I thought that was Bikram.
Him
That
too.
was a few years ago. That was a few years ago.
Oh no,
All the yogis are just falling apart.
yoga isn't safe.
I love
Basically,
yoga.
anyone who started
Anyone
any
knows who knows
business
that.
or practice, like you just can't. It's just all bad.
But you know what? He could be a bad person, but what he's teaching is positive? Then it's like separating
I
the
agree.
artist from the art. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
I think
might as well benefit from.
other people can teach it, and then he can just go away.
Yeah.
I would say that I try not to quote him as much as I probably once
Yeah,
would,
that
but
makes
what
sense.
he's teaching is rooted in ancient, lineage,
Yeah, that's what I'm
ancient
saying.
traditions, and he kind of took it and introduced it to the West. So it is a yoga of
Okay.
awareness. It incorporates chanting, and really that's what flipped the switch in my head. It was, wow, people are chanting and using their voices to meditate. How come I didn't discover this sooner? And I need to do this with singing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What is breath work?
Loaded question.
Because I hear all these people all the time being like, oh, it's been coming up. Like people are doing breath work.
So how do you approach a
learning-
breathwork session?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's many, many, many different kinds of breath work. Have you done breath work?
I've heard it's really
I-
beneficial. But
I might have done breathwork in acting class once.
I don't think that's the same
In
kind
college?
of breath work.
I think I know what acting class
I
you're talking
did breath
about.
work
You
with
know-
like a
you know.
therapist one.
Carl,
You did.
You know Carl Walker? You
Yeah.
remember him?
I think I do remember.
Yeah, he
Carl.
passed away unfortunately, but
Aw.
his acting class was incredible, and I think we did breathwork.
He was woke.
Doing breath
He was
work
super
right now.
woke.
Yeah.
He was super woke.
Doing it all damn day. Doing my breath work
But
all
Khaki,
damn
I'm
say-
day.
living. I'm
say-
breathing. I'm
say-
breath working.
Say we're doing a breathwork session. Guide me through how we're gonna do this.
Okay. So the specific style of breath work that I'm certified to teach is called conscious connected breathing or conscious circular breathing. It depends. And it's rooted in a type of breath work called holotropic breath work, which was created by this Dr. Groff and his wife. And he basically was a scientist that studied the effects of LSD until LSD became banned. And then he was like, well, what am I going to study now? So then he figured out that by using the breath, you can alter your states of consciousness in a way that's really trippy, where you have an out-of-body experience, and it kind of mimics an LSD experience. Holotropic breath work is, very specific. And that's why what I do is like an offset of it, but it's not exactly that. That takes like 7 to 8 hours. You end up having like art involved where you make a mandala. It's a big thing. So for 3-part breath work, you breathe in through the belly, breathe in through the chest, and let it out. And you do that over and over and over again. And so what's happening when you breathe in this way is that you are manipulating the levels of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the body. So you are expelling more carbon dioxide, I think. It's messing with the levels, and it alkalizes your blood.
So it brings more oxygen to your brain and alkalizes your. Is that the purpose, to
Well,
bring more oxygen?
We breathe in
into your-
oxygen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're over breathing the oxygen and over getting out the
Exhaling.
CO2. It's messing with the levels.
Right.
And then that activates different neural pathways in the brain, which the way I like to think of it is it allows your subconscious to come to the forefront.
I love that.
Whoa.
It's a whole thing, and it's a
like
big
dreaming,
experience.
almost.
And it really works.
I've had profound experiences. A lot of people have. Try it.
I've
It's gonna be
heard
fun.
that.
I'm gonna try it. Can I try it tonight? Like before I go to sleep? Do you recommend that?
I recommend a guide, especially for your first
Khaki,
time.
I'm gonna do it with you in the next
Yeah.
couple of weeks.
Let's do a
Yes.
breathwork session.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You would recommend one-on-one though, right?
Totally.
As opposed to a group.
Oh,
I love leading groups. It's
Okay.
a collective
are
energy.
you
It's
trying to
amazing.
kick us out of the breathwork
No, I'm just trying.
class
I'm just trying
with
to. I'm
Khaki?
trying to have the
There's
best
no room.
breathwork
He's like, no, but
experience.
it's-
Listen, I'm trying to have the best personal breathwork experience. If that means that I don't have to deal with you two knuckleheads, then
Hearing us
Fine,
breathe.
then I'm gonna have my own private session with Khaki as well.
okay, good.
Yeah, everyone sign on up.
Yeah.
Let's do privates out the wazoo.
But I've heard that, like, someone else told me they did breath work. It wasn't like a 7-hour class though, but they were like, I had a spiritual experience.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. It really does. It quiets the monkey mind. So all that chatter in your head, when you are, it's literally, you're forcing hyperventilation. Like scientifically, that's what's happening. You're getting yourself into a hyperventilated state.
Isn't that bad?
It's bad if you overdo it. But if you're in a controlled environment and you don't excessively breathe like that for hours and hours and hours of day, yeah, it's
I was going to
safe.
ask, how long do you do it for?
The way that I was taught and the way I love to teach is 25 minutes of active breathing into a 10-minute meditation, 10 to 15 minutes of meditation. And in that meditation, it is just pure download, clarity, third eye open. It's profound. Like you've put in a lot of work and then you surrender and you kind of get answers. So it's an incredibly powerful practice,
Oh my God.
especially if you set an intention, because you never know what your subconscious is going to tell you.
Wow, Sarah's really into meditation, so I feel like you
Yeah.
would love this.
Yeah, I really want to do it.
Yes, let's do it.
When you say set an intention, like what do you mean by that? What kind of
Well-
intentions do people set?
One of my breathwork teachers who I look up to a lot, I've learned from her that my favorite type of breathwork is breathwork for clarity. Like breathing before you make a big business decision, or clarity of like what should the next step be in my strategy for XYZ. I love that because you just get instant downloads of the right next step to take. But you can do breath work to release old wounds, inner child, breath work for love, to release negative attachments with your parents, to let go of abuse. It's
Wow.
powerful.
So it's all about setting the intention, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then with a guide who knows how to talk you through it and say the right things to your subconscious at the right time for a natural, organic unfolding of your own journey and your own story to come to you in a beautiful way.
Incredible.
When you set
You're
the
like,
intention,
I know. I really am.
is the intention communicated to you, the guide, or is it a personal intention that your client is keeping to themselves?
I'm all for sharing. Sharing is caring. And also, if you are witnessed in saying something about yourself, it's powerful. Words are powerful. I do think that words are our magic wand. Everything we say has meaning, has
Right.
depth. Yeah, share it out loud.
I'm just thinking that breathing in general is good before any decision because, it allows you to reset a little bit. I'm someone whose brain is just active, constantly going. So just thinking about like, maybe I should take a breath and maybe things could like calm down a little bit. I don't know. I don't breathe enough.
You know what breathwork's incredibly powerful for? It creativity. Like if you did a breathwork session right before going into the studio, you would just just take note of how you'd feel.
Let's try it. I'm down.
Yeah. Or before writing a a new stand-up set or a new sketch. It's an interesting way to prime yourself for downloads.
What do you mean by download?
That
I like
From
the
your
word.
higher self or
Yeah.
from where? Your subconscious?
from your subconscious, it depends on the person.
We're robots.
Yeah, we're robots. We feel nothing. If you believe in God, a download from God. If you believe in universal life force, if you believe that you are God, then it's from your subconscious. It's from inside. It's
Now you're talking my language.
Yeah, scientifically, you are activating new neural pathways in the brain. So your brain is thinking about things in a way that you don't when you're living, breathing, functioning on autopilot in, with alpha brainwave state. So it's really an incredible way to access different parts of the brain. It does change your brainwave states too.
It sounds like it would skyrocket a meditation practice. Like, you practice meditation, you do it every day, or I don't know how often you do it, but it's a practice, and you get better and better, and you reach higher levels of meditation, right? I mean, I don't do it enough to know, but it sounds like if you did in combination with the breath work, you would just be able to.
I think it just sounds like another way of manipulating energy and
levels.
getting your mind to a place where you're able to make sound decisions.
Yeah, and I would say that people talk often that breath work is like a hack for meditation. It's like if you want to really know what it's like to like be in deep meditative state, breath work gets you there faster.
That's what I was. Yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to get at.
That's what
It's
I
like
was
a short.
saying.
It's like a shortcut, but it's a powerful short. It's not like a
Yeah.
bullshit shortcut. It sounds like a powerful way of doing it. So
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's breathing. It's your breath. You're manipulating your breath. It's fascinating, and you can really have an out of body experience.
We're doing it. We're doing a Sippin Cosmos X Khaki retreat.
I love that.
Yes, we'll do a runway show. We're all just breathing.
That sounds
I
hot.
love it.
I'm so in.
That sounds super hot.
Now, can you tell
Fashion
us?
podcast.
Can you please tell us about your crystal that you brought to us today?
Yes.
BYOC.
Hello, audience. Hello.
I love the color of the crystal.
I
what kind of-
BYO'd crystal. I thought it was on brand, fitting, spread the juju for my home to y'all's with this fun little crystal. It is a mix of black tourmaline and clear quartz, and I forget what this one is. Maybe it's feldspar, but it's a powerful crystal. It's activating the whole channel because clear quartz is higher chakras, black tourmaline, and this one's the lower chakras. So it's a full body experience, and I wanted to feel grounded and woke with y'all. So
Listen,
I love that.
I'm 100% open to everything that's been said so far. But I don't know
He's
if
our
I don't know
skeptic.
if I'm a crystal guy.
that's totally
they
fair.
put
You don't have to be a
tourmaline
crystal
in
guy.
hair products because it like smooths it. It emits negative ions apparently.
Yeah,
which is like really good for you, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it is.
I mean,
it's good for
I
your
just
hair,
don't
apparently.
know. I just don't know. And I'm open. I'm just like, for me, like, I don't understand the science behind crystals.
Same.
Well,
They download they have information on them, right, Khaki?
they do. I'm going to help Layne out here.
Okay.
Scientifically, clear quartz crystal is a conductor for electricity. If you have a watch, it has a crystal in there. That's how the watch ticks. So if it can hold electricity, why can't it hold energy from someone that might have held it before? Why can't it hold energy from being underground for millions of years?
I've never thought of it that way. So,
And they do hold
like, if there is,
information too.
it is a conductor. It's an
I think
actual
so, yeah.
scientific conductor. It's like
Right.
that makes sense. I now understand
It's a
where the
conductor.
energy could filter through the crystal.
My
But-
question is, how do you use them and benefit from them?
That was my next question.
Everyone's on the same wavelength here. Yes.
It's because I held a crystal right after you held it, and I got your energy from your brain.
Your
remember
question transferred
Yeah.
the question.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It was
I'll answer your question up here, guys. Don't.
well, we were just talking about how
Hey,
they're making microchips
I'm
out
not.
of
I'm
crystals.
not. I'm not
They are.
disrespecting the crystal. I'm not, and I think they're very pretty.
They are
are
very
pretty.
pretty. That's a huge part of it.
But-
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just
they
it's
look
one
good.
thing that I've never like bought into it 100%. But I never heard anyone say what you said about the conducting of like energy and electricity, because that's true. It is a conductor. So in that scientific way, maybe it could make sense that it could hold a certain energy. I just don't know how to manipulate it.
Same.
Yeah, it's all about intention, y'all. Life should be fun, right? If a crystal makes us feel good, I personally love them because, yes, I do believe that the crystal carries a certain frequency that could activate different parts of our energy centers. But it's really more like you see that color, you feel what it's like to hold it, and you focus your mind on it. That's where the power is. I like to hold a crystal when I'm meditating. I like to, if I'm doing breath work, I like to put one in a circle. I like to have a grounding crystal underneath my laptop, so hopefully nothing goes wrong. I dig crystals.
Not gonna lie, I do feel a little more calm holding it. I'm not lying.
Khaki's calmness transferred to you.
Like, I don't know if it's the texture.
Now he's a believer.
That's all it took.
I don't know if it's the texture, if it's
You like the shape.
It's a good shape.
it's nice.
Fits well in the hand.
It's got a good weight to it too.
Yeah. I do think that the bigger the crystal, the more powerful the crystal. You just feel it more and it's more mass.
So
yeah.
now it makes sense when I see my friends charging crystals under the sun because they're trying to.
Absorb.
What does that do? Is that just an energy absorption?
It clears the energy.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
like, like quartz
So it's like
crystal is
recharging it.
conducting electricity. It's like that's stored energy inside by using the sun, or honestly, even just intention or running water or burying it in dirt under the moon. You give it a clear slate.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
What was I going to say about that?
Now, I have a crystal that's hanging on a string. And I got it.
It sounds precarious.
Yeah, this might be dangerous.
I got it from a crystal shop, and
Is it very sharp?
it looks like a little
It's the
drop
same shape as
as that,
Okay.
but hanging
Smaller.
and small.
So it could fall into your eyeball.
Yeah, and just like
Layne's
gouge your eye out.
But the
Thinking of
crystal,
I'm thinking of like an icicle,
no,
like a really
it's
sharp
little.
icicle.
I am too.
That's just like
Yeah.
hanging by like a really flossy string,
It's little.
just
you
like
hold it in your
above the
hand.
toilet.
If you think hard enough, it's going to start melting.
Like, and legitimately, she's on the toilet, and the thing just snaps and pierces her skull.
Oh,
Ugh.
jeez.
Most
Oh,
injuries
no.
do happen on the toilet.
I have
Was
the
that too
crystal
dark?
on the string. I'll show you. But the crystal shop owner said that it like people use it like a Ouija board almost. They ask it questions and it moves around in circular motions or back and forth. You tell it goes circular, it's yes, or no, it goes back and forth. I've never I don't know about that, but we were playing with it the other night. Why? How did that come
'Cause
up?
you wanted-
Because at ghost hunting,
Yes.
someone was using a necklace and said you could communicate, and it didn't really work with the necklace. But I was like, oh, I have this crystal, and I swear to God, I was holding it up. I think it was feeding off my energy, not like a ghost or something. But I was holding it up really still, and it was moving around like
It was
in
moving
a
a
circular.
lot.
It was
A
moving a
lot.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I totally believe. I know in Reiki, some people love to use a pendulum in Reiki to kind of guide them,
The pendulum.
help you
That's
make
what it is.
intuitive decisions.
Like I have a crystal on a string. What is this?
It's a pendulum that you're using as a decorative art,
Okay.
right? Or
Yeah,
Well,
it
it's
sounds
just-
decorative to me.
So but that makes sense. If that's conducting and holding energy, it's transferring from me to the crystal and moving.
Now I don't know the actual properties of quartz and all these elements, but just to be devil's advocate, why couldn't this metal table have the same powers as the crystal?
it could if you wanted it to.
It's just the
But-
crystal's prettier.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people and myself are attracted to crystals because they're made of the earth and they're ancient.
Right.
They're old as fuck.
Yeah.
And that's pretty darn cool.
I mean, they're cool. They're definitely cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no denying that.
They found a crystal skull somewhere. Do you know about these?
No, I
How is that
don't.
even
Sounds like an
possible?
Indiana
what is-
Jones movie.
I
and
know
I'm pretty
it
sure
does.
it is.
They found it. They archaeologists. I don't know. And it's like it's very precise, very beautiful. It's a huge crystal. They don't know who made it, where it came from, but it's very old. They dated it back. It's very old.
A crystal
a very
skull.
old crystal skull. Yeah.
So it was
Circa very
shaped.
old.
Yeah.
So it's just in the shape of a
circa
skull.
before
Mhm.
today.
Yeah,
Someone
circa,
shaped-
we have no idea.
Someone shaped it into a skull.
That's pretty
Ancient
darn
people.
cool.
I don't know.
I mean, I have a
But it's
huge affinity
Very well done.
for ancient traditions, ancient history, in a
Same.
time
Yeah.
where things were a little more mysterious, people were a little more connected to the earth. And took things like that into account, like took lunar cycles into account, took the ebb and flows of energy into account, and they were carving jewelry out of crystals and using them. It's been around here for a long time, so why not lean into it? And what I wanted to say earlier is I listened to the episode about the haunted hotel downtown.
Oh yeah.
Right, and you were talking about how
Yeah.
you could feel that place had collected
Yes.
energy.
Yes.
It's a crystal would work in the same way. If a space can collect energy, it really just depends on.
And maybe if a human can collect energy, then a rock can as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very inspired by the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza. Do you guys know him?
No.
He is a figure. Check him out. But he really is busting through all of these outdated beliefs about the placebo effect. Like scientists had disregarded the placebo effect for decades, being like, oh, this isn't important. Like you're imagining it. But actually, there's power in that. The placebo is powerful. We do have the ability to change things with our minds because, like when you listen to sound, for example, the reason that you can hear sound is because there is an electronic impulse, right? You hear sound, an electrical impulse takes place and goes to your brain. Yeah. All of your thoughts and your emotions are charged frequency. Like your brain working is all little neurons, like firing, electronic conduction, and that leaves a mark.
You're blowing my mind.
Yeah, you're right. Like, and
I think that's placebo is tangible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. Even a placebo is tangible because there is an effect within yourself.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and who is it to say that shouldn't matter?
Right, it matters.
It matters.
If even the placebo did it, then it still matters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's just changing our, societal historical negative.
Which brings me to Reiki.
Yes, to Reiki.
Because Reiki is something where a lot of placebo studies have been done and there's no conclusion yet as to the actual powers of Reiki. But I find it extremely interesting. It's an ancient practice, right? Or is it newer?
It's actually relatively new.
Oh, really?
But it's Reiki was discovered in 1922 by this guy in Japan.
Wow, so pretty recent. I thought it was
Yeah.
older.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's this guy named Mikao Usai, if I hope I'm saying it right. And he basically went to a mountain in Japan, fasted like 7 days, 7 nights, and then figured out he had access to this energy. And then he taught people and helped heal people using it. But what I believe and what a lot of people believe, there is like an international Reiki headquarters, if you will. It's Reiki is consciousness that we are able to tap into, and it is ancient. It's been around for a long time, but then this guy in, this lifetime was able to put a name to it and
Right.
teach it and spread it. But even if you believe in Jesus, for example, like Jesus had access to this spiritual consciousness. And if you are hugging someone and feel a really profound sense of love, that's an energy exchange. And it's Reiki is rooted in the idea of there's a universal life force energy that flows in each and every one of
It's called
us.
the chi, right?
Yep, the key, exactly.
Ki?
I don't really know. I think it's the key. But yeah,
I like saying chi. I don't
Chi.
know.
Yeah, I've heard chi. I haven't heard it pronounced.
I think
chi.
I think it's pronounced
But
either
I
way,
don't-
but
I think
What
one's a
do I know?
Korean
Yeah.
pronunciation, one's
yeah,
Chinese.
because
and then
I know Tai Chi is the manipulation of that energy, and that's a
Ooh.
Chinese practice, I believe. I'm not positive,
Yeah.
but
And it's the same as prana in like Indian traditions.
oh yeah, prana.
It's just based on the concept that there is a specific kind of energy that animates life. And that energy should be free flowing for optimal health.
What do you mean by free flowing? Like,
That's that energy permeates your body, right?
Yes, it's inside of you. It's all around you. It makes up your thoughts, your emotions, your physical body. Like it animates you and it makes you come alive.
and that's not what some people refer to as the soul, or is that the same kind of energy in essence?
I think it's similar, but I think a soul is your unique identifier in this life. And I think that the universal life force energy, the prana, the ki, that's what connects us all. That's what makes us all one. That's what makes us all come from the same explosion in the sky way back when, And yeah, it's the idea of it circulating. What Reiki really is about, the idea of Reiki is that Reiki doesn't heal. It promotes healing. when I am healing you, I am merely a channel for directed life force energy so it can increase your circulation. When you have healthy circulation, you are fulfilled, you feel whole, you feel at peace, you are healthy. And then when there are blocks in frequency, in energy in your body, maybe at a chakra, maybe at a random place, that's when you might get sick, emotionally sick, mentally sick, physically sick. So that's what the philosophy is based on. When you channel this energy to someone, you're increasing circulation, which then promotes self-healing.
Interesting. So it's based on circulation?
That's my understanding. It's like if I were to channel Reiki to you, I am allowing a new force of circulation of life force energy to start to flow and hopefully break up some blocks so that way you are a well-oiled machine.
So blocks can they can be emotional, they can be physical, they can be anything, right?
Yeah, anything.
Okay.
So when I don't know, did you watch the Gwyneth Paltrow Goop thing on Netflix?
I did.
Okay, so
That
you
was
know,
great. I loved it.
Right?
you
Yeah,
know
it was
that
really
episode.
good.
Yeah, I liked. I want to do all the stuff that they did on that show. But
There's like a Reiki episode.
yeah, right. Or it was energy healing.
It was
though.
the guy who
Is that the
was
same thing?
incredible at manipulating energy, and he was like,
Oh my
he
gosh.
didn't even touch
It
anyone.
was
So he-
amazing.
Yeah,
Right.
but
Incredible.
that's what I picture when you say Reiki. It's like someone just kind of hovering their hands over a certain part of someone, and
Reiki's an
that's the
actual
energy
physical touch, though,
transfer?
right? Doesn't
No,
Reiki
you don't need
include
to
I don't think you're
touch
touching
for
physical
Reiki.
touch?
No.
No?
I actually prefer to give distant Reiki because the idea, if we're all energy and we're all made up of the same life force energy, why would that be constrained by time or space?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Like I sent Reiki to this podcast episode before it started, just for good vibes.
Oh,
I felt it.
You
You
did?
Yeah,
did?
it feels good in here.
There
Oh,
you
good.
go.
Well, there you go.
I'm just trying to understand, like, what is is energy flowing from you into the other person when you're doing the transfer,
And also, how do you
facilitates
learn
that?
how to do this?
You get attuned, basically, which means you take a course, which is what I did. I took a Reiki 1 and 2 and then a master course. But honestly, these courses are truly so you can respect the energy. And it just comes back to everything is about intention. Any one of you could channel Reiki if you really tried. But because I've gone through this process of becoming acclimated to the energy, really practicing using it, I can, I guess, call upon it with gratitude and respect to come flow with the intention to heal and to help.
Maybe instead of being a medium, I should be a Reiki
Yeah.
Could be
healer.
both.
I think Reiki is a game changer. I recommend everyone should get certified or learn. It's a beautiful journey. It doesn't
think-
hurt.
yeah.
Reiki doesn't harm.
I think obviously the most important thing is that it really does help people, and there are plenty of cases of people that feel like Reiki is it. Like that's the way of healing. Like put science aside, and I'm a huge skeptic, but like the most important thing is that it is a really powerful form of therapy for people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even if you go to like the official definition of Reiki in Western society, is Reiki is a Japanese therapeutic technique used to relieve stress, promote relaxation, and promote healing. It never says that Reiki it's going to like miraculously heal you.
Right.
It's again, it has to do with intention and what are you willing to feel? I also think it's important to note that every human being is different and communicates with his or her their surroundings in very different ways. I myself, I'm incredibly sensitive to feeling. I'm an empath and I'm sensitive to frequency, very specifically sound frequency. Someone else might be incredibly visual. Like I'm not particularly visual, but someone else could see things and see, patterns come to life. Everyone has their own experience with Reiki and everyone channels it differently, which is why I definitely channel Reiki through my voice. And I think that's a huge part of why I'm drawn to this route, because I do feel that in my voice work, I am channeling Reiki. And other people channel Reiki mentally. Other people, it's really their hands. It's that healing touch. It just depends on
Right.
the person. But there's
I get it.
really
now.
no definition.
I thought there was one. I thought there was like one definition
Yeah,
of what Reiki
I
was,
think
and that's
of
why.
the touch thing, like where it's like.
But I understand what
transferring
Kaki's saying. It
energy
makes
through my-
sense. Like
Me too.
there shouldn't be a definition to it.
And how is it called upon though? Is it a meditative state that you like call upon it and like just like bless the energy and then transfer it or something? Or
Yeah, I mean, you bless the room, you bless yourself, you clear space. A huge part of this is creating the space to allow and to surrender. Like we're go, go, go all the time. How often do we just sit and allow ourselves to feel the energy moving through us? And so I've practiced as a Reiki master now to allow it to come to me, come through me, be very clear with my intentions and my focus, and then always, always, always invoke it with the utmost respect for its power. I mean, it comes down to universal love. What more is there? Universal love and connection.
in the words of Dr. Brian Weiss.
Oh boy.
His work's
Always-
behind you,
always-
correct?
Literally always has to come back to Brian Weiss. Always.
I'm going to have to
Only
pick
love
up one
is
of those
real.
books now.
Only Love is Real is one of the books.
Okay.
So maybe I think you would like it.
Book club
And I-
reading. Sippin Cosmos, book club. But also, like, huge disclaimer, these are the practices that have worked for me. Everyone's different. I think everyone should go on a self-discovery journey, and healing is different for everyone. Like in my sound healing studies, for example, heavy metal music is incredibly, incredibly healing if that person listening to it, there's a part of them that is attracted to that frequency and that frequency lives inside them. So if you have a frequency of heavy metal inside of you and you listen to heavy metal, it allows it to be released.
There are times when I do feel that frequency and that I want that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's healing. That's healing. Like going for your run every day, if you're that kind of person, that's healing. Anything that allows you to come to a sense of wholeness and peace and feel aligned in your mind, body, soul, like that's healing. For me, it's voice work, breath work, Reiki. For y'all, it's different.
Now, I do have a question about chakras.
Yes.
I was going to ask about that as well.
Oh.
Go on.
The
on.
crystal we
Yes.
transferred.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I was
want
just
this
gonna-
crystal again.
I was going to ask if chakras were involved in this. Like, I just learned what chakras were. What were you going to ask?
Yeah, like is it healing the chakras? And first of all, what are the chakras? Like I know there's like throat and there's heart and it's like what is the concept of a chakra? Do you study that? And are you healing that when you're doing Reiki?
Great questions, first off.
Sorry, that was like a lot.
No,
That was a good question, though.
really good question.
Yeah.
Because it's all kind of blurred together in this like modern spirituality. But the chakras are energy centers in the body, and chakras, our knowledge of them did come from the yoga traditions, from Sanskrit, from ancient India. It's ancient, and it's in a book called the Vedas, I think, or another ancient
Yeah,
text.
it's the Vedas, I think.
It's the Vedas,
Yeah.
yeah. So chakras came to us that way. Chakras are not involved in the creation of Reiki. However, it's a wonderful tool for us to map out the energy of the body. And I love to work with the chakras in Reiki and in sound healing through like vocal toning. It's a great tool to do it. And what's cool with that in modern times, Dr. Joe Dispenza, for example, he doesn't even call them chakras. He calls them energy centers, because even in studies of energy fields of people, like we know that we have an electromagnetic field. Every single person does have an aura, and it comes from the heart. And your electromagnetic field can be felt by other people if you're in proximity to them. And you do have different energy centers at the base of your spine. Your pineal gland, this part of your body, is another energy center. Your throat, these are all energy centers, which are essentially the chakras, but just described in a different way. So chakra itself, it is an energy center in the body, and it's a wheel. Chakra means wheel, right, in Sanskrit. And you can imagine it as like a spinning force of energy. And then the idea is that your chakra can either be in excess, as in there's too much energy concentrated there, or it can be deficient. So the goal is to balance your chakras to come back to an equilibrium of, again, mind, body, soul connection, spirit alignment. And when people talk about their chakras, like they're like, oh, my throat chakra's closed up. It's just that the chi, the ki, the life force isn't flowing correctly.
And yoga and asana is supposed to help with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's like another way to tap into energy is physical movement, and doing
Yeah.
it so intentionally with yoga it's incredibly powerful. And they have different poses that focus on different parts of the body, which then wake up or neutralize those different energy
And I'm really
centers.
into the physical aspect of yoga and the asana and like the movements. I love, like, it's one of my favorite things in the entire world. And I hope to one day teach yoga. So I really do need to learn about the philosophy and like the background of the chakras, because I am open to that. I feel like it's extremely interesting and it's the whole purpose of yoga. So
Yes.
yeah, I find that extremely intriguing.
On that, it's beautiful because yoga itself means yoke, right? The yoke of life. It's that the yin and the yang, the balance. It's finding that equilibrium from one extreme to one. It's just finding balance, the yoke, the rebirth.
Right.
It's and that's what spirituality is. That's what energy is. It's finding this sense of wholeness in our existence, in my
And
opinion.
connectedness to everyone else and the universe and all that, right?
I dig it.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I would characterize my spiritual journey, is like literally trying to like figure out our place, my place in the puzzle piece of, you know, the world. And the fact that we all are made of energy is just so interesting. Like, energy cannot be destroyed. We're all part of energy. We're all made of the same material. We are all connected, whether you like are spiritual or not. It's like scientifically proven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just our modern society loves to just kind of deny this part of ourselves that I think ancient traditions really embrace. And I think ancient people were way smarter and way more just like grounded in life than we give them credit for, you know? Like we have no idea.
Well, things
I agree
changed a
with
lot
that.
with like the Renaissance and the Industrial Revolution. Like our entire thinking on this planet completely did not one, you know what I mean? It changed. Things
Yeah.
Like a 95 degree change.
Yeah, what you said.
So when someone says their chakra, back to the chakra, because I still have questions.
I think your chakras need to be balanced because there's something wrong.
When someone's chakra is like clogged,
Love it. Clogged and running good.
I don't know. My sister loves yoga, and so she's always like, you know, like her throat chakra is blocked, and so she's not communicating right or something. So what causes like a block in your energy?
So many things. It's usually other energy. Specifically, for example, a trauma. Like, if I had a trauma at 7 years old, I tried to speak in front of the class and I was laughed at. There might be a little bit of my throat chakra that's scared to speak. And then if you don't address it, and then really this is how I feel because of sound healing. In the way that I practice and study sound healing, it's you have to feel the frequency. You can feel it through music, you can feel it through your voice, but you have to feel that frequency, feel your emotion to let it go. So it's kind of like, or if, let's say we're in college and I hooked up with that hot guy and then he ghosted me the next day, that could leave a little bit of insecurity in my second chakra around sexuality and not having confidence in my sexuality. Or if you maybe were raised by a single parent and like the other parent left when you were young, that could be an issue with your security. And that's an energetic wound that's left in your body.
Wow.
And that's why healing or, inner work, working on yourself is important, because we recognize this in ourselves and then realize and then decide consciously what kind of person you want to be. And then that's how you move forward. That's your own spiritual journey.
That's why I love just
kind of
like
person you wanna
working
be.
out, like Pilates and yoga. Just the feeling afterwards of just being drained. It feels like an energetic recharge,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you know?
it does.
Absolutely. I'm actually just started getting into Pilates, so I totally feel you.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
certain people are more in tuned and like sensitive to that though. Like certain people I hear like, oh, I just feel so much better when I exercise or do this certain like thing, and others don't feel it as much.
Yeah, I guess it has to
Right?
do
I
with
mean,
your
is that
brain
fair?
your brain chemistry
Well, it's
for
also
sure.
just
But
Mhm.
endorphins. Like if I go for a run, I'm in such a good mood, and it's because my endorphins are flowing.
Right.
It's like Elle Woods, Legally Blonde. Happy people don't kill their husbands.
Happy people don't kill their husbands.
They just don't.
You just watched that, didn't you?
I didn't, but that thought is always in my head every time someone
That's
talks
what they.
about endorphins.
That's what they want you to think. By the way,
That, every time someone talks about endorphins and working out, I always think of that scene.
that's pretty funny.
It's funny you say brain chemistry, but I also think nervous system. Everyone has different nervous systems. Everyone has a different, neutral base nervous system that you're operating at. Some people are triggered more by things. Some people, their nervous system responds differently to different things. And that's a huge part of spirituality for me as well, working with your nervous system to change your state so you can access different parts of yourself.
Right, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never really think of my nervous system. I always think of my brain chemistry.
Yeah, but they're connected.
It's all connected.
Definitely connected.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My nervous system's insane.
Yeah. Tell us more.
Well, isn't
just like-
anxiety brought
Yeah,
on by the
I
nervous
have, like-
system?
Absolutely.
I have a constant anxiety, just consistently anxious. But I've learned to utilize it for good, for mostly good. It springs me forward. It's part of my fabric.
And what calms you down is yoga, Pilates, and music.
I would say those usually have calming effects.
Mm.
Yeah. Like exercising for sure, because it allows me to just not think so much.
Yeah.
And it's a way of meditating for me, no matter
I
how hard the
agree.
physical activity is.
Yeah, because exercising makes you kind of think about the movement or whatever you're doing. And for those few moments that you are exercising, you're just thinking about the movement of your body and nothing else.
My
Same
brain
with
and thoughts
yoga.
have
It's
nowhere to
like-
go. Like they have nowhere to go, but if I exercise, at least I'm physically doing something and
Yeah.
releasing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing with breath work or meditation too. It's
Absolutely.
forcing you to think about that one thing and not everything else.
Or for me, for sure, singing. And for you too, probably. It's like when
Yeah.
you get into that flow state, and when you're there, that's when your authenticity, that's when your soul comes forward.
Right.
That's what I like to say.
You saw the Disney movie Soul.
Loved.
Yeah.
Loved.
We talk about this
I gotta
every
see
episode.
it.
You gotta see
I
it.
really do. I have to
Okay,
watch
it was so good and definitely a tearjerker.
We have Layne's Disney Plus password.
Ooh.
Sean's,
watch
right?
it.
Sean's, my
Oh,
brothers.
shit. Okay.
If you join the
You're a
Patreon,
family
you too
unit.
can get Layne's Disney Plus password.
Yes. For the low price of $3.99.
Layne's password to everything is 123. I am awesome.
I am God.
You joke about that statement as if it's like a Kanye
What?
thing, but I am God.
I don't joke about it. I believe in it.
Yeah. I do too.
I think everyone's their own God, in my opinion.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I was raised atheist, and I only woke up to spirituality in my 20s, this idea of believing in something. And I truly do believe that the life force that animates each of us, our soul, we are God. We are each God.
Mm-hmm.
And then God can be external if you want it to be. God is internal. I'm still getting used to putting a name to it and being comfortable with it. So I'm glad I can express that here and be witnessed in it.
That's awesome as someone that was, because you don't hear that often. I was raised atheist in our generation. Usually you have some predisposed thing that your family has and you're grown up in, and then it's up to you to kind of question that and go on a spiritual journey. But you kind of had a blank slate and decided on your own fruition to have this spiritual journey. It's awesome. It's very cool to see.
Yeah, it definitely did find me. It's why, I've never felt, you two have known me in iterations of my life. I've never felt more aligned or empowered or radiant or in my truth.
Yeah,
as I
you
do
seem
now.
so happy.
You're very
You really
radiant.
do.
Yes, you are
Yeah.
very radiant.
Thanks, Layne.
And exuding positive energy.
Yeah, I just met you an hour ago, and you treat you walk in and you just bring such a great energy with you.
Thank you.
You
I'm
do.
very touched.
Yeah, you
Oh.
seem very happy, and you make the people around you happy.
Thank you.
Now,
Oh,
is a beautiful flowing dress part of your is that a requirement to be a Reiki healer?
No
An
requirement.
effortless moo.
But actually, this is something I do kind of want
I
to
love
talk
it.
about and bring a little divine femininity to this podcast. So I'm reading a book right now, and it's called Pussy, a Reclamation. And it's all about reclaiming your feminine essence, your energy, and leaning into all the juicy, sexy radiance of femininity, and kind of having that also be a compass for us as God. And a huge part of the book, which I'm trying to get more into, is really adorning yourself for pleasure, like taking deep pleasure in self-care and what you wear, because why shouldn't we radiate out all the time and really feel our best in every moment?
I'm with that.
I love this so much. What is the book called?
It's called Pussy, a Reclamation. And it's all also about, owning the word pussy again.
Can I buy it on Amazon?
You can. It's a New York Times bestseller.
I'm ordering it tonight. Oh my God.
We
The
have
name itself.
Yeah.
I know, it's
Very good
provocative.
I know
name.
you're not
So-
supposed to judge a book by its
Provocative.
cover,
It
but
gets
my
the
God.
people
Gets
going.
the people going.
This might be like a stupid question, but what is divine femininity? Like, what is femininity? Like, I hear this word all the time. Like, I always was that person that there's no difference between men and women. We're all the same. We all should be treated equally. Like, that was kind of my thing. And I was, in a sense, kind of denying like biological differences between men and women, just wanting to
doing that
be on the
too,
same kind
because
of level.
I was like insecure
yes.
about being female. And
Exa-
for a really long time, I was like, no, there's no difference. There's no difference.
We're the same. I just
Yeah.
happen to
Yeah.
have different female genitalia.
I was doing the same thing.
Yo,
for a
me
couple
too.
years.
Like, it's because it's a man's world right now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Fact.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
what is reclaiming divine femininity?
I'm not entirely
To you,
sure
at
of the
least, maybe.
origin of divine feminine, divine masculine, but I do know it does connect with like the yin and yang, for example. Like the yang is masculine and the yin is feminine. And it's the idea that there are these two separate and opposite energetic forces at play. And then the yang is the masculine, it's the sun energy, it's go, 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 it's drive, it's focus, it's get things done. And then feminine would be more feelings, like imagine an ocean wave going in and out against the shore. Like it's sexuality, it's sensuality, it's creativity, it's feeling connected to the earth, it's slowing down, it's being, it's receiving. And these are, people believe, myself included, that these are two energetic forces at play. And we just put the name masculine and feminine to it because it's, in our lexicon, but that's how you would describe the two different energies.
But don't we all, men and women, have both of those energies within
Yes,
us?
absolutely. But I would say that in society, especially for women, we've been forced to suppress our femininity. Because think about how many times like you well up with emotion and want to cry, but don't because it's not socially correct. I believe that, if we honor our feminine, we should honor those emotions. And there's nothing wrong with emotion. Honestly, I feel as though a huge part of my life's work is to normalize emotions again, because it's almost taboo to say that you have emotions, to feel emotions, to lean into emotions, to let them overcome you and take you away. And it's a healthy thing. Emotions are healthy. And so divine feminine is essentially this idea of reclaiming a feminine essence, a feminine nature to, again, it all comes back to creating balance.
For men and women.
For men and women,
yeah, because
absolutely.
I think men, really get the brunt of that with the don't
The
be emotional,
emotions,
don't
yeah.
show
Yeah.
your feminine side.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then there's, like shadow sides to each as well. Like a shadow side of the feminine would be, too lazy. Like, you need more masculine to energize yourselves. Everyone needs a balance of both. If the shadow of the overly masculine would be, being cruel or like unable to, slow down, unable to take a big picture, unable to feel connected. It's all balance.
I think women as well can be punished sometimes for not being as emotional. Like, I think sometimes it's expected of us. And then if you're not super emotional, or if you don't fall into the typical expectation of what it is to be feminine, then it's like, oh, there's something wrong with you.
Then you're a bitch.
Yeah,
your-
like if you don't want to have kids, if you aren't emotional, we're in a place where everyone else is emotional. If men are getting emotional and you're not, it's like, what's wrong with you? You're cold-hearted, you
Mm.
know?
That's such a good point too. It's people putting expectations on other people because
Yeah.
of the way that we've been conditioned.
Yeah.
A huge part of, for me, I call it spirituality or just rediscovering yourself or becoming comfortable in your own skin. A lot of it is unlearning conditioning and making decisions for yourself. Like
Yeah.
someone else might be saying, why isn't she feminine enough? But in the end, it's you in your body and you need to feel whole and
It
balanced
comes
no
back
matter
to
who
being
you
your
are.
own God,
Exactly. Yeah.
making your own decisions, being as feminine or masculine as you want to.
Yeah.
I'm like a mix. Anyone who knows me knows that.
TikTok is blowing up right now. Everybody's agreeing with everything that we're saying.
Yeah.
Wow.
When
Thanks,
Khaki was
TikTok.
going off before, this girl
Khaki's
said,
going
"Facts."
off, baby. Facts. But yeah, it's like just being yourself,
Yeah, exactly.
There
again,
shouldn't be
it's
any
like-
labels.
Masculine, feminine, these are just labels because that's all that we know how to label it as. But, it could be called sunshine and
Rain.
rain. Yeah, exactly.
What is your stance on drugs that alter your state of mind and can people say they have spiritual experiences on? Is that part of a spiritual journey, or do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, I'm like pro drugs. Like it's I think everyone's different. Everyone's on their own journey. I've done drugs and I like drugs. I used to smoke a lot of pot.
Me
Like
too.
a lot of pot. But then it comes back down to like what's your intention for using it? And I know that I myself am on a health kick trying to use less drugs, but that's really more because I feel I really want to let inner Khaki out more. And in order to become really, really comfortable with her really running the show, I find that I can access her better sober. But that being said, I've had amazing out-of-body experiences in other situations. I know people that use marijuana to deepen their yoga practice in a way that like they can't even explain. It just gets you so much more in tune with your body. It just comes back down to balance. Everything in excess can be dangerous. Everything in balance is good for you and healthy. Like I used this example with sound, for example. Too much sound, too much music is a bad thing. Music only has power in contrast to silence.
That's beautiful.
Very true.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Or even like with the, in Cuba, when someone was poisoning American diplomats by high frequency sound waves. Like that's too high, that's poison. Like that's using sound as poison. Or
Hold on. What?
You never heard of this?
No.
Using
Wait,
sound as
neither.
a weapon of
Someone got-
weapon of destruction.
What
Yeah.
happened to them
They got sick.
from the sound
There's
waves?
there are
From
frequencies.
sound?
There are frequencies that you
Sorry,
can
I don't watch
blast.
the news.
There are frequencies that you can blast into the air, like into an area that can physically harm someone. It's a weapon.
Can you hear it? Like you actually
It like
hear
messes
it?
up your brain.
But is it
Whoa.
something that you can hear, or is it you think they're
I'm not
silent?
positive if
depends
you can
on
hear it, but
what hertz it's at. If it's
Yeah.
over 20,000 hertz, you can't hear it.
yeah.
What do you mean by sick? Like his brain just didn't function anymore? or-
Hearing loss, memory loss, and nausea.
Wow.
Speculation is centered around a sonic weapon,
From a sound.
with some researchers pointing to infrasound as a possible cause.
That's bizarre.
In
It's
Cuba.
incredibly bizarre. Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty messed up.
I mean, it took them like a year to even figure this all out.
They're
At
like,
first,
why
it was
are all these
just
people like
getting sick?
like getting really sick and like losing their minds,
yeah.
Wow.
getting nauseous? Ugh,
Yeah.
that's terrible.
Balance is
Balance.
everything.
That's
I think-
a great example.
That is the major takeaway from this, you guys, is balance. Literally, I love that as just a rule of thumb is balance.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's really just the one word. I love the word harmony, obviously. I call myself a harmonic healer, but it's just another word for balance. When people say, mind, body, soul, that's another way to describe balance. We're all just seeking balance. We're only, I believe that when in my human existence, I'll always stray one way or the other, but in the end, I'm seeking balance because that's when I feel whole. Nothing's off limits, nothing's restricted, there's no shame. It's just balance.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
You definitely
Khaki.
couldn't have.
Would you
Savage.
like to add anything? Is there anything else that you want to touch on, talk about? Any questions for us?
I want to know about y'all's, I guess, where you are in spirituality, but if that's a trigger word, like where you are on your self-discovery or your growth. Also, all of us are at a pivotal age where I think, we are transitioning from, boy to man, or like girl to woman. People into astrology call it a Saturn return. But I'm just curious, like, where do you guys feel you're at? Maybe get a little vulnerable about this stuff.
Ashley, why don't you?
I mean, I
begin?
think I think we all, Sippin Cosmos viewers will know that I'm very much on a spiritual journey, and I applaud you for saying trigger, though, because the word spiritual and spirituality turns people off in a way right off the bat. Like, they don't want to admit that they're seeking something that's not concrete or like scientific or like, whatever you want to call it in our modern society. So it's like, so that is, and it turns people off.
Yeah.
But having said that, yeah, I went through an atheist phase, agnostic phase, all of the phases, until I really had to take a look at life, going through losses, like people close to you, you're like, what is the meaning of life? Like, and it's hard to come up with an answer,
like,
right? So there's either literally nothing, no rhyme or reason, like nothing matters, or there's something bigger, there's something larger. I'm part of a larger network of life and the universe. So that kind of led my trajectory of just seeking what else is out there. And through, I hate to say it, but Dr. Brian Weiss.
Dr. Brian sponsors this podcast.
This podcast is
maybe
brought
one
to you
day.
by Dr. Brian Weiss. Dr. Brian Weiss.
I'm just kidding, but
You're not kidding.
I am. I've always been into like, mediums and like just paranormal stuff for fun. But then, reading stuff about hypnotherapy, past life regression stuff, his work with regressing a lot of people back to other lives and the concept of reincarnation really speaks to me and makes sense on some level that I can't really explain, just internally makes sense to me.
I actually do see a hypnotherapist, so I'm very
Wow.
proud of
You
that. I do, and I'm also I believe in reincarnation. I mean, yeah, I totally get it, and there is a reason. It's because you believe that energy isn't created or destroyed. So it makes perfect sense to me. Thank you for
that
sharing.
it would get recycled
Yeah.
into other incarnations. We don't live forever. We only live 100 years if we're lucky, cycles. And so,
I mean, the movie Soul really just sums it up
yeah.
beautifully.
Soul is, I mean, you can't argue. Everything they say is accurate. 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
It's proven.
Facts. Dr. Brian Weiss.
Dr.
says
Brian
so.
Weiss wrote the screenplay. So
I bet he approves.
The genius.
he actually voices all the characters too.
Would you guys like to touch on
Yes,
spiritual
yeah.
journey?
For me, it's not such an for me, spirituality isn't something where I'm looking externally. It's really just an internal thing, and a lot of it has to do with my fluctuating mental illness. It's like, I guess ever since my brain started changing and like my illness started developing more, and it's constantly changing. Like, I've had this sense of spirituality that I don't think could be reached otherwise. I feel energy differently. I am able to conquer things, which brings me to levels that I thought I could never achieve, and they're just internal levels. So as my brain develops, I understand more and more about what I personally can accomplish. And for me, that's like the most spiritually satisfying thing.
Boom. Yeah.
Snaps for Layne.
Snaps for Layne.
Sarah?
I don't. Well, I wasn't really. My grandparents, my father's parents, were very old school Italian. But they weren't religious at all. They both lived through the Great Depression, so I guess they came from these super old school religious Italian families. Roman Catholic, and they both like completely just like denounced that very young, like both in their 20s, I guess. And they ended up, I guess when they had my dad, they found this church called the Unitarian Church, which I don't know if you guys have heard of, but it's really cool. It's just very like, you can believe whatever you want to believe, like just come to church every week, like we're going to talk about, what's going on in the news, any current events, and like spiritual stuff as well, and our journey here in life. And they have a bunch of organizations too. They have like a women's organization, all this stuff to like make a difference in the world. So we my brother and I were raised Catholic because my mom, it was important to her. But it wasn't something that was really instilled in us by any means. But we would always go to my grandparents' church, and we were part of that. And I love that whole philosophy. And it's a very special place. It's very nice and welcoming going there and just knowing that like no matter what you believe, you're accepted here. Like it's all welcome. And I always thought of my grandfather said till the day he died, like, when you're dead, you're dead. There's nothing after life. Like, okay, all right. My grandmother was a little more lenient, but they weren't religious at all. So I was surprised recently. I found out that my dad, like, prays. And I was like, he wasn't raised with any religion. They went to the Unitarian Church, and he was like, yeah, he's very spiritual. And I tried it recently for the first time since I was like a very little girl. And it does feel very powerful. It's very almost like you're bringing something to fruition, to life,
Isn't it's a
You
meditation? It's a manifestation.
Yeah.
And energetically,
Praying
it's-
is setting an intention.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. It's having gratitude. It's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. It's like we were saying before. It's just kind of inside of you. And I've been feeling lately, this is going to sound so like anti religion and believing in God, but I've just kind of really fully understood how small we all are and how much I don't matter to the greater of the world, which sounds so depressing, but at the same time, it's so freeing and liberating because it's like, I can do whatever I want to do and I don't have to worry about all of that because I'm just going to go on my path and no one else is thinking about me. I can just worry about me and help whoever I want to help. And there's just something, it gives me like a great confidence, for lack of a better way of explaining it.
Whenever I get really nervous about, like, let's say there's a stand-up show or something, I just think literally in like 70 years, this, like, not even, like, literally next week, it'll be like, this never
You
happened.
don't think of
like,
everyone in their underwear?
like, literally, like, it just doesn't
matter. And I've realized
and
more
anyone
than
that
ever,
has an opinion about it today, they don't matter.
They don't
in
matter.
Yeah,
a
they
certain
can
amount
go
of time.
fuck themselves.
Like, you know what I mean?
I've just realized more than
Fuck
ever.
you all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true. But
fuck
it's like
you.
the world doesn't revolve around me. And if I meet someone and I don't vibe with them and I don't like them, it doesn't mean that they're bad. It just means that my vibe and my energies, whatever going on with me, doesn't vibe with them. And like, they're probably great. They got all this stuff going on for them. And it's not that I don't like them and they're bad. It's just like our energies don't go together for whatever reason. We don't click. And like, that's just it. It doesn't have to be all. The universe just does not center around us,
Ugh, yes. And to kind of tie together what you both said, it's like, yeah, there's the nihilistic, like, oh, literally nothing matters, why believe in anything? But then it's also, well, it is empowering. If we don't matter, then
Yeah.
why not make our own existence in this
This-
body the best
Yes,
it can
this
be
is the
for
miracle.
ourselves?
This is the blessing of being alive and having freedom to do whatever you want to do. There's such like, I've been feeling such self-actualization lately just from that. Just truly like, oh my God, I have the whole world to do whatever.
And they don't, well, in my case, I learned this late. You know, I cared a whole lot about what other people thought about me for a very long
Me
time.
too.
Like it was, you know, it would make or break me, make or break my future. And it is freeing. It's really freeing.
Yeah, and it's like when you're 90 years old and your grandkids ask you why you didn't do something, it's like, well, I was worried about what the other humans that were alive at the time would think. Like, what a waste. What a waste. It's so silly to me. It's so hard to get out of that headspace, though, because it is really real, the weight that's put on us.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, it's like, you gotta let go of that. And as soon as you do, there's such a
And I'm not
freedom
sure
that
if you
comes
want
with
to
it.
if you want to change the world, but the people that do change the world are the ones that don't give a fuck and inspire other people to not give a fuck.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like Dr. Brian Weiss.
Exactly.
Yeah. He didn't give a fuck that everyone was gonna
Call
I
him a
think
quack.
I think that's
denounce
it's
his
not exactly what I was going for, but
No, but I agree.
denounce
I agree.
his, degrees
It's like,
and
yeah.
and all of his, what is the word? Accolades? I don't know.
accolades is a good word, yeah.
But speaking to what you said though, like I get slightly bothered when people lump religion into spirituality and having like a spiritual journey
Yeah.
because they're totally different in my opinion.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, I think, you're labeled like, oh, are you religious, or are you like, defending that specific religion, or, you're thought of to be, what's the word? Narrow-minded if you're, gonna like be religious or something. But it's also like, and not to put down anyone that is religious, whatever works for you and your life and your journey and whatever. But it's like, you can have a spiritual journey, I think, without subscribing to kind of the just traditional religious texts and teachings and all that, and try to see a bigger picture even outside of that.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
In a lot of ways.
I'm not expressing myself that
No, I
well
get what
right
you're
now,
saying.
but
totally are.
Yeah.
You're saying religion's not necessary to be spiritual.
right.
I would actually say religion is a man-made medium device in order to have people in communities experience spirituality.
Interesting.
But it also can
has
confine
control.
people, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It can confine
But
people.
that's part
exact-
of why
yeah.
I was so surprised to hear that my dad prays every night. Was like, wait, but you weren't raised with any type. There was no God in their house. You know what I mean? It was not.
I cross my fingers, like
Yeah,
I'm not afraid to like, and I wouldn't call it praying, but I hope for things.
Right. I mean, my dad also has very severe OCD, like I do, so he does a lot of like taps everything 3 times, and he's one of those. But yeah, I was surprised because he wasn't traditionally raised with any religion, but it's just truly he was doing it for himself, and it's his own relationship that he's formed
Mhm.
with.
Yeah, on his
God.
own self. No one made him. No one
Yeah.
told him to believe in this.
In
or,
fact, he was told the opposite growing up.
Yeah.
Similar to your experience.
Yeah, absolutely. My dad was raised Catholic until he was 14 and decided to go to the pool hall instead of church, and his parents just let him. And then my mom was raised in Thailand, Buddhist, and went to a Catholic school. So she would come home from school and be like, oh, we learned about Saint Joseph today. And then my grandma would be like, okay, put him on the shelf with all the other gods. It was just a very
That's cool.
religion and spirituality. Like, we never talked once about spirituality growing up. But yeah, raised atheist, and then it's just religion is there and there are figures. But I mean, developing my own spirituality has been one of the most rewarding things I've ever experienced. And I hope to continue to deepen. It's a never-ending journey. Never ending. And I position myself as an authority, but I'm still learning. Like on the inside, I'm still just a little kid trying to figure out life
Yeah.
and learn more about myself every single day and still overcome conditioning and limiting beliefs. It's
Of course.
never ends.
I have a question for you
Mhm.
because I know a lot of young parents who, once their kids get to like 3 or 4, they start looking at like different churches and stuff. And they're like, well, we want to raise the kids something, they want to bring them up in some kind of church or school. Do you feel like you missed out on anything, or is it more like you were kind of given this whole like it's all there if you need it, and then it's on you to go discover it all?
That's a good question. Sometimes I do feel like I missed out on things because I think that one of the most magical things about religion, any religion, is that it builds community. And community is sacred. Like having a tribe, having people that you can connect to, relate to, people to share love with. Like that's powerful and a huge pillar of the human experience. So I really admire how religion brings people together in that way. I grew up in DC, in the suburbs of DC. There's a lot of Jewish people. I used to wish I was Jewish because they had such amazing community and, getting together every Friday. And I loved bat and bar mitzvahs. Like I loved
You should have
Jewish
came into my town.
culture.
I was the only Jew in my town.
Really? Oh my God. Yeah. See, everyone's so different, but
I was the only one without a community in my town.
It almost
Yeah.
becomes like cultural. Yeah,
It
it's
is.
a cultural community.
I love the cultural aspect of religion. In ways, I do feel I missed
sure.
out, but I am at the point where I don't believe in regrets. I do believe things happen for a reason. I wouldn't be exactly who I am on this path if I hadn't been raised an atheist and discovered crystals and Reiki and breath work and singing for healing all on my own.
Yeah, it was kind of like you were a little kid and the world was your playground and you just kind of
But you also
discovered
said
it
that
all.
you used to care what people thought.
Totally.
When did that switch?
I still care about what people think, but it's a practice. It's like
It's an intention,
Right.
let's say less than a year ago, I was too scared to post a video on Instagram of myself speaking to the camera. Like I used to, and also I have a lot of trauma from going to journalism school and being a journalist where your identity is meant to be invisible. Like you're supposed to be a fly on the wall, and if anyone knows anything about your personal life, like you are being unethical. So I had to unlearn a lot of that conditioning. In college, I went to an all-girls school. I spent a lot of time trying to impress boys before I, found my partner. And I cared a lot about what boys thought about me. I cared a lot about what people think about my body, like my face, the way I act. Do I drink enough? Am I cool enough? All of this I cared about. And then only through little by little showing more of myself publicly, honestly, I have a lot to thank to Instagram. It's been a beautiful tool for me to practice self-expression. And then me sitting here now with all of you wonderful folks talking openly about crystals and spirituality and, life and death and God and pussy. Like, this is all me working on reclaiming my authenticity.
And you're
letting go
amazing
about
at-
what
name
people
but you're
of this
also amazing at
episode.
speaking. You're
Life
amazing
and
at
death and God. and
you're
pussy.
amazing at telling your truth,
Well, thanks.
which is important, like in the journey that you're going on.
Yeah, very much.
And you're very good at it. So, I mean, I think it's natural that you're on this path. I will say that when you asked me to pick a song for you to perform one time you texted me, it was over quarantine. You're like, pick a song, any song. I was like, wow, what is this going to be about? And I picked my favorite song, Everlong, by Foo Fighters. And Khaki, maybe a day later, sent me her cover of the song.
Yeah.
And it was one of the most beautiful things I'd ever heard in my entire life.
Oh,
Like, I got chills listening to it because it was made with intention. I felt like you were working on yourself, but also it was like a gift to me. And I'll always cherish it. I thought it was so beautiful.
Thank you, Layne. And also just thank you for being there for me, allowing me to play and share with you. And, I did want to give you a gift, and it means a lot to me that you saw it that way.
For sure.
I'm gonna cry.
I'm emotional
I
too. I'm like,
Yeah, you loved that. You were like, Khaki made me my own cover. Like, it's my favorite song. He really loved that and appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm
Appreciated that.
glad. But I mean, like that, even that, like, I'll never forget that because that was a huge step of me. Like, I didn't even know that was before any of this, any of me, what I'm doing now. That was me on my spiritual journey.
I felt it.
Discovering
That's
myself.
what I knew that I knew that's what was happening, and that's why I appreciated it even more. Is that it had that extra layer of like, wow, she's really developing her path, and I felt it through the music. It was so awesome.
I'm going to listen to that when I get home. It
Please
says in the
do.
bottom of my voice memos now,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Listen to it. I'm gonna listen to it too.
I want to hear it.
Love you too.
It's not like the original.
I don't even know the
It's
original.
beautiful
so-
though. It's beautiful. Like, it's just like it's real.
Yeah. I also, I'm a nostalgic gal. Like, I love little pieces of time capsules that will remind us of who we once were, because who we once were propels who we are now and who we're going to be. It's powerful. It makes me emotional, and I honor that emotion because it makes us human.
For sure.
Beautiful. Beautifully said. Look, Khaki, we could talk here all night with you.
I know.
But for once, I literally have to cut it off. Khaki, thank you so much for being here today. We
Thank
loved
you,
having
Khaki.
you.
Yeah, we can't wait to have you back.
Yeah,
I
seriously.
was just thinking that.
Like,
Like, this
I
wasn't
think-
enough.
We're gonna have
I
to do a part
know.
2 at some point because this
Yeah.
was a great conversation.
Oh my gosh, my absolute joy, pleasure. I love you all. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Thank you for being
We
here.
love you.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for listening, watching, commenting, liking, all of the above.
Subscribing.
Yeah. Thank you, Layne. We'll see you next time. This has been Sippin' Cosmos.
We love you. Cue the music.